First Contact and Cultural Exchange. The vast lecture hall of the Galactic University of Xenobiology buzzed with anticipation. Students of various species, from gelatinous blobs to multi-limbed insectoids, settled into their seats. Today was no ordinary day at the university. For the first time since Earth's discovery and subsequent integration into the galactic community, a human would be giving a guest lecture. Professor Zixtal, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, stood at the podium. His 4 arms gestured gracefully as he addressed the class. Esteemed students, today marks a historic moment in our cultural exchange program. We have the honor of hosting a representative from the newly discovered Deathworld known as Earth. A ripple of nervous excitement passed through the audience. Deathworlds were rare, planets so inhospitable that it seemed impossible for intelligent life to evolve. Yet somehow, Earth had produced a spacefaring civilization. Please welcome Professor Sarah Chen of the Human Diplomatic Corps, Zixtal announced, his voice resonating through the translator devices worn by the students. The doors at the back of the hall slid open, and a collective gasp echoed through the room. Sarah Chen strode confidently down the aisle, her steps purposeful and sure. To the alien students, she was a terrifying sight. Bipedal, with only 2 arms and legs, and completely devoid of natural armor or visible defensive mechanisms. Her skin was soft and vulnerable-looking, and her head was adorned with a mane of dark fibers. As Sarah reached the podium, she smiled, revealing a row of white, bony protrusions in her mouth. Several students instinctively recoiled. "Thank you, Professor Zixtal, for that warm introduction," Sarah said, her voice carrying easily across the hall. "And thank you all for having me here today. I'm excited to share some insights about my homeworld with you." A brave student near the front, a being composed of swirling gases contained within a transparent exoskeleton, raised an appendage. "Professor Chen, if I may ask, how are you still alive?" Sarah laughed, a sound that sent shivers through many of the students. "That's a fair question. Earth can be a challenging place to live, but that's exactly what I'm here to discuss today. How we humans have not only survived but thrived on what you call a death world." She tapped a device on her wrist, and a holographic image of Earth appeared above the podium. The blue and green sphere rotated slowly, clouds swirling across its surface. "This is Earth," Sarah began, her voice taking on a more professional tone. "To us, it's home. To you, I imagine it looks rather intimidating. But I assure you, it's not trying to kill us. At least, not all the time." A nervous titter ran through the audience. "Let's start with some basic facts," Sarah continued. "Earth has a diverse range of environments, from scorching deserts to freezing tundras, dense jungles to vast oceans. We experience phenomena like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and tornadoes on a regular basis." The hologram shifted, showcasing these various natural disasters. The alien students watched in horrified fascination as entire cities were engulfed by waves. Landscapes were reshaped by molten rock, and winds powerful enough to lift buildings raged across plains. "But that's just the planet itself," Sarah said, her eyes twinkling with what could only be described as excitement. "Wait until you hear about some of the creatures we share our world with." For the next hour, Sarah regaled the increasingly terrified alien students with tales of Earth's most dangerous flora and fauna. She described predators like the great white shark and the Siberian tiger, venomous creatures like the box jellyfish and the inland taipan, and even touched on the myriad of microscopic threats the humans faced on a daily basis. "And then there's the plant life," Sarah added, almost as an afterthought. "We have trees that can grow over 100 meters tall, plants that can eat insects and small animals, and flora that can cause severe allergic reactions or poisoning if handled incorrectly." A student with compound eyes and delicate wings raised an appendage. "Professor Chen, how do you manage to build civilizations with all these threats surrounding you?" Sarah's expression turned thoughtful. "That's an excellent question. I suppose you could say that these challenges have shaped us as a species. We've had to become adaptable, resilient, and incredibly inventive to survive and thrive in our environment. She changed the holographic display to show images of human cities, advanced technology, and space exploration efforts. Despite all the obstacles, or perhaps because of them, we've managed to build thriving civilizations, develop advanced technologies, and even begin exploring the stars. The alien students found themselves leaning forward, captivated despite their fear. There was something almost inspiring about the human's words, even if the actions she described seemed utterly insane by their standards. But perhaps the most important thing to understand about humans, Sarah continued, her voice softening slightly, is that we don't just survive on Earth. We love it. All its dangers and challenges, all its beauty and wonder, it's a part of who we are. As the lecture drew to a close, the alien students were left with a mixture of awe, terror, and grudging respect for these Deathworlders who called Earth home. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive species struggling to survive on a hostile planet. Instead, they found themselves face to face with a resilient, ingenious race that had not only conquered their death world, but seemed to revel in its dangers. Professor Zixtal stepped forward as Sarah concluded her presentation. Thank you, Professor Chen, for that illuminating lecture. I believe I speak for everyone when I say that we have gained a new perspective on humanity and your homeworld. Sarah nodded, her smile widening. It's been my pleasure. And remember, if any of you ever feel brave enough to visit Earth, we'd be more than happy to show you around. Just make sure to pack some sunscreen, insect repellent, and maybe a first aid kit, or 10. As the alien students filed out of the lecture hall, their conversations were filled with a mix of terror and fascination. One thing was certain, their view of the galaxy and humanity's place in it would never be the same. Earth's natural dangers unveiled. As the alien students settled back into their seats after a brief recess, the atmosphere in the lecture hall was charged with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Professor Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her posture relaxed yet commanding, a stark contrast to the nervous energy permeating the room. Now that we've covered the basics, Sarah began, her voice cutting through the hushed murmurs. Let's delve deeper into what makes Earth such a fascinating, and yes, dangerous, place to live. With a flick of her wrist, she manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on Earth's surface. The image shifted to show a patchwork of terrains, from towering mountain ranges to deep ocean trenches. Earth's geology is incredibly diverse and dynamic, Sarah explained. Our planet has a molten core that drives tectonic activity, constantly reshaping the surface. The hologram animated, showing continental plates grinding against each other. Several students flinched as they watched mountains thrust upward and chasms open in the planet's crust. This tectonic activity leads to phenomena like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, Sarah continued, her tone matter-of-fact. In fact, there are hundreds of active volcanoes on Earth at any given time. A tentacled student near the front raised an appendage. Excuse me, Professor Chen, but how do humans survive in areas with such volatile geology? Sarah's eyes lit up at the question. Excellent point. We've developed early warning systems, earthquake-resistant architecture, and evacuation protocols. But here's the interesting part. Many humans choose to live near volcanoes or in earthquake-prone areas despite the risks. The alien students exchanged bewildered glances, a crystalline being chimed in, its voice resonating like tinkling glass. But why? Resources, mainly, Sarah replied. Volcanic soil is incredibly fertile, supporting abundant agriculture. And many of these risky areas are rich in minerals and geothermal energy. Humans have a knack for finding opportunities in the face of danger. She paused, allowing that information to sink in before moving on. Now let's talk about Earth's atmosphere and weather patterns. The hologram shifted again, this time displaying swirling cloud formations and angry red storm systems. Earth's atmosphere is a turbulent system, capable of producing extreme weather events that can reshape landscapes and devastate populations. Images flashed across the display. Hurricanes with eyes larger than some alien worlds, tornadoes ripping through towns, blizzards burying entire cities in snow, and dust storms blotting out the sun. These are some of our more dramatic weather phenomena, Sarah explained. Hurricanes, for instance, can release energy equivalent to 10,000 nuclear bombs over their lifespan. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. But that's not all. Sarah continued, seemingly oblivious to the growing horror in the room. We also experience extreme temperature fluctuations. In some parts of our world, temperatures can swing from -60 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius within a single year. The hologram displayed a barren, ice-covered landscape, transitioning into a scorching desert. Several students visibly recoiled at the sight. "Professor," a multi-eyed being in the back row called out, its voice quavering, "how do humans endure such temperature extremes?" Sarah's expression brightened. "Adaptation and innovation. We've developed clothing and shelter to protect us from the elements, as well as heating and cooling technologies to make inhospitable environments livable." She manipulated the hologram once more, showcasing human habitations in various extreme environments, from igloos in the Arctic to underground dwellings in the desert. But perhaps one of Earth's most pervasive dangers is something you can't see with the naked eye, Sarah said, her tone growing serious. The hologram zoomed in, revealing microscopic organisms. Earth is teeming with microbial life. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Many are harmless or even beneficial, but some can cause devastating diseases. The alien students leaned in, morbidly fascinated as Sarah described various pathogens and the havoc they could wreak on the human body. She explained concepts like epidemics and pandemics, detailing how rapidly diseases could spread in a globally connected world. Yet, once again, humans have risen to the challenge, Sarah declared proudly. We've developed complex immune systems, advanced medical technologies, and global healthcare networks to combat these microscopic threats. As Sarah's lecture on Earth's natural dangers drew to a close, the alien students found themselves grappling with a profound realization. The planet they had dismissed as a simple death world was far more complex and terrifying than they had ever imagined. And the humans, these seemingly fragile, unarmored beings, had not only survived but thrived in this hostile environment. Before we move on to our next topic, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence, "Are there any questions about what we've covered so far?" For a moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, appendages and sensory organs of all shapes and sizes began to rise across the lecture hall. The questions came in a flood, a mix of horrified disbelief, morbid curiosity, and grudging admiration. How do you sleep knowing a natural disaster could strike at any moment? Have you personally experienced any of these extreme weather events? Is it true that humans intentionally climb active volcanoes for fun? Sarah fielded each question with patience and enthusiasm, her responses only serving to deepen the alien students' fascination with humanity and their Deathworld home. As the cue and a session wound down, Professor Zixtal stepped forward, his iridescent skin shimmering with what might have been nervous excitement. "Thank you, Professor Chen, for that enlightening overview of Earth's natural phenomena. I believe we could all use a moment to process this information before we continue." Sarah nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Of course. And remember, everyone, what I've described might seem terrifying to you, but to us, it's just another day on Earth. In fact, many humans seek out these dangers for the thrill of it." As the alien students filed out for another break, their conversations were a mix of horrified whispers and awed speculation. They had come to learn about a death world, but they were beginning to realize that the real marvel wasn't the planet itself. It was the species that called it home. Little did they know, Sarah's revelations about Earth's natural dangers were just the beginning. The next part of her lecture would delve into a topic that would challenge their understanding of life itself: Earth's biosphere, a complex web of predators, prey, and constant adaptation that made the planet's geological dangers seem almost tame in comparison. The Terran biosphere, a deadly Eden. As the alien students filed back into the lecture hall, an air of nervous excitement permeated the room. Professor Sarah Chen stood at the podium, an enigmatic smile playing on her lips. The holographic display behind her showed a serene Earth landscape, lush forests, crystal-clear waters, and majestic mountains. It was a view that belied the deadly nature of the planet they had learned about so far. "Welcome back, everyone," Sarah began, her voice carrying easily across the now hushed auditorium. "In our previous session, we discussed Earth's geological and meteorological challenges. Now we're going to explore what truly makes Earth a death world, its biosphere." With a wave of her hand, the idyllic landscape transformed into a dynamic ecosystem teeming with life. Plants and animals of all shapes and sizes filled the display, a vibrant tapestry of biodiversity that left many of the alien students in awe. Earth's biosphere is a complex web of life, with millions of species all evolving alongside one another, Sarah explained. This has led to an evolutionary arms race, creating some of the most efficient predators, deadliest venoms, and most insidious parasites in the known galaxy. The hologram zoomed out, showing Earth as part of a complex network of interstellar trade routes and diplomatic connections. Humanity's unique experiences on our death world has shaped us in ways that make us distinctly valuable to the galactic community, Sarah explained. Our adaptability, our innovative spirit, and our resilience in the face of adversity are traits that can benefit all species. A student with crystalline features raised an appendage. "But Professor Chen, surely your technology must be primitive compared to species from less hostile worlds." Sarah smiled, a glint of amusement in her eyes. "You'd think so, wouldn't you? But necessity is the mother of invention, as we say on Earth. Our harsh environment has driven us to develop technologies that are often more advanced than those of species from more benign worlds." The hologram shifted to showcase various human technologies, from adaptive AI systems to advanced materials designed to withstand extreme conditions. "Our medical technologies, for instance, are particularly advanced," Sarah continued. "We've had to combat a wide array of diseases and physical traumas, leading to breakthroughs in fields like genetic engineering, nanotechnology, and regenerative medicine." The alien students murmured in surprise. A being composed of swirling gases spoke up, its voice tinged with awe. "Does this mean humans could potentially help cure diseases that plague other species?" Sarah nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. In fact, we've already begun collaborating with several species on medical research. Our experience with biological warfare, both against pathogens and between nations, has given us unique insights into combating diseases on a galactic scale." She went on to explain how human expertise in adapting to extreme environments was proving invaluable in terraforming efforts in space exploration. The hologram displayed images of human-designed habitats on harsh alien worlds and advanced spacecraft venturing into uncharted regions of space. "But our contributions aren't solely technological," Sarah added, her tone becoming more serious. "Our history of overcoming adversity, of uniting in the face of global threats, offers valuable lessons in cooperation and resilience." The display shifted to show scenes of human history, times of conflict, but also moments of incredible unity and mutual aid in the face of natural disasters and other crises. "We've learned, often the hard way, that we're stronger together than apart. This understanding of unity and diversity is something we bring to the galactic stage." A student with multiple eye stalks raised an appendage. "Professor Chen, given humanity's history of conflict, aren't other species worried about the potential threat you pose?" Sarah's expression turned thoughtful. "That's a fair concern, and one we're acutely aware of. Yes, our history includes conflict, but it also includes remarkable strides in peacemaking and diplomacy. We understand the horrors of war perhaps better than most, which makes us strive even harder for peaceful solutions. She elaborated on how humanity's experience with internal conflicts had led to the development of sophisticated diplomatic protocols and conflict resolution strategies, which were now being adapted for interspecies negotiations. Moreover, Sarah continued, a note of pride in her voice, our unique perspective as Deathworlders allows us to see potential threats that other species might overlook. We're often the first to identify and propose solutions to galactic-scale challenges. The hologram displayed images of human scientists and diplomats working alongside alien counterparts, tackling issues ranging from interstellar pollution to the rights of artificial intelligences. As the lecture neared its conclusion, Sarah's tone became more reflective. I want you all to understand something fundamental about humanity. Yes, we come from a world that many of you would consider a nightmare. Yes, we've faced challenges that have shaped us into a hardy, sometimes intimidating species. But at our core, we are driven by curiosity, by a desire to understand and connect with the universe around us. The final images on the holographic display showed scenes of human cultural exchanges with alien species, art collaborations, scientific conferences, and even interspecies sporting events. We don't just want to survive in this vast galaxy. We want to contribute, to learn, to grow. We bring to the galactic community not just our strength and our technologies, but our art, our philosophies, our boundless imagination. As Sarah concluded her lecture, the alien students sat in stunned silence. The species they had initially dismissed as primitive survivors of a backwater death world had been revealed as a resilient, innovative, and surprisingly sophisticated civilization, with much to offer the galactic community. As the Q&A session wound down, Professor Zixtal stepped forward, his iridescent skin flickering with what might have been a mix of fear and excitement. Thank you, Professor Chen, for that eye-opening overview of Earth's biosphere. I believe we all have much to contemplate before our next session. Sarah nodded, her smile widening. Indeed. And remember, everyone, what I've described might seem like a nightmare to you, but for us, it's the vibrant, dynamic world that shaped our species. In fact, many humans dedicate their lives to studying and preserving this biodiversity, despite, or perhaps because of, its dangers. As the alien students filed out for another break, their conversations were a cacophony of amazed exclamations and philosophical debates. They had come to learn about a death world, but they were beginning to realize that the real marvel wasn't just the planet's deadly nature. It was the incredible adaptability and resilience of the species that called it home. Little did they know, Sarah's revelations about Earth's natural and biological dangers were just setting the stage. The next part of her lecture would challenge their understanding of intelligence and adaptability, showcasing how humans had not just survived their death world, but had used its challenges as a crucible for innovation and advancement. Human ingenuity and adaptability. As the alien students settled back into their seats, an air of anticipation filled the lecture hall. The previous sessions had painted a picture of Earth as a nightmarish death trap, yet somehow, improbably, humans had not only survived but thrived. Professor Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her posture radiating confidence and enthusiasm. Welcome back, everyone. Sarah began, her voice carrying a note of excitement. In our previous sessions, we've explored the myriad ways Earth tries to kill us. Now let's discuss how we've not only survived but flourished in the face of these challenges. The holographic display behind her came to life, showing a montage of human achievements throughout history. Human history is a testament to our ingenuity and adaptability, Sarah continued. Every challenge our planet has thrown at us has been met with innovation and determination. The display shifted to show early human settlements, then rapidly progressed through different eras of technological advancement. Let's start with our most basic needs, shelter and sustenance, Sarah said. We've developed architecture that can withstand earthquakes, hurricanes, and extreme temperatures. The hologram showcased various human dwellings, from igloos in the Arctic to underground cities in desert regions, from floating villages in flood-prone areas to skyscrapers designed to sway with seismic activity. But we didn't stop at mere survival. Sarah added, her eyes gleaming. We've turned many of Earth's dangers into resources. She went on to explain how humans had harnessed the power of rivers, wind, and even the atom itself to generate energy. The alien students watched in fascination as the display showed massive dams, wind farms stretching to the horizon, and the intricate workings of nuclear power plants. A student with bioluminescent skin raised an appendage. Professor Chen, isn't it dangerous to tamper with atomic forces? Sarah nodded, her expression serious. Absolutely. Many of our advancements come with their own risks. But that's the essence of human progress. We take calculated risks, learn from our mistakes, and continually improve our technologies. The hologram shifted again, this time displaying various modes of human transportation, from simple wheeled vehicles to supersonic aircraft and space shuttles. Our drive to explore and expand has led us to conquer every environment on Earth, Sarah explained. We've scaled the highest mountains, plumbed the deepest oceans, and even begun to venture into space. The alien students murmured in amazement as they watched footage of humans in extreme environments. Deep sea divers navigating pitch-black waters, mountaineers scaling sheer cliff faces, and astronauts floating in the void of space. But perhaps our most remarkable achievements have been in the field of medicine. Sarah continued. The display changed to show the progression of medical technology, from ancient herbal remedies to modern surgical techniques and genetic therapies. Remember the biological warfare we discussed in our last session? We've turned that knowledge into weapons against disease. We've developed vaccines, antibiotics, and are even learning to reprogram our own genetic code to fight illness. A gelatinous student near the front quivered with what might have been excitement. Does this mean humans are impervious to disease now? Sarah chuckled. Far from it. We're in a constant arms race with pathogens. But we're getting better at fighting back. In fact, we're at a point where many humans now live long enough to suffer from diseases of old age, something that would have been unthinkable for much of our history. The lecture continued, with Sarah detailing human advancements in fields ranging from agriculture to information technology. She explained how humans had turned hostile environments into breadbaskets, how they'd created global networks for instantaneous communication, and how they were beginning to explore the possibilities of artificial intelligence. But here's the truly fascinating part, Sarah said, her voice dropping slightly as if sharing a secret. Many humans aren't content with just overcoming the challenges our world presents. We actively seek out new ones. The hologram changed once more, this time displaying various extreme sports and dangerous hobbies. The alien students watched in disbelief as humans hurled themselves off cliffs with nothing but fabric wings, dived into underwater caves, and climbed sheer rock faces with minimal equipment. This is what we call thrill-seeking, Sarah explained, unable to hide her grin at the shocked expressions of her audience. Many humans find joy and fulfillment in voluntarily facing danger. We push our limits, testing the boundaries of what's possible. A student with compound eyes and delicate antennae spoke up, its voice a mix of awe and confusion. But why? Why risk your life when you've worked so hard to secure it? Sarah's expression turned thoughtful. That's a profound question. I suppose it's part of what makes us human. We're not content with mere survival. We strive, we explore, we push boundaries. It's this drive that's led to many of our greatest achievements. As the lecture on human ingenuity and adaptability drew to a close, the alien students found themselves grappling with a fundamental shift in perspective. The humans they had initially pitied as inhabitants of a death world were revealed to be resilient, innovative, and remarkably ambitious. Before we conclude this section, Sarah said, I want to leave you with one final thought. Yes, Earth is dangerous. Yes, we face countless threats to our survival every day. But these challenges have shaped us, driven us to innovate, to cooperate, to become more than we were. In a very real sense, we are children of our death world, and we carry its lessons with us as we reach for the stars. The silence that followed was profound. The alien students, once dismissive of Earth as a barbaric backwater, now looked at Sarah, and by extension, all of humanity, with new eyes. They saw not pitiful survivors, but a species forged in adversity, possessing a unique blend of resilience, creativity, and daring that both terrified and inspired them. As Professor Zixtel stepped forward to conclude the session, his iridescent skin shimmered with what could only be described as awe. Thank you, Professor Chen, for this remarkable insight into human adaptability and innovation. I believe I speak for everyone when I say that our understanding of humanity has been profoundly altered. Sarah nodded, her smile warm, but her eyes holding a glint of something more. Pride, perhaps, or a hint of the indomitable spirit she had just described. Thank you all for your attention. In our final session, we'll discuss what all of this means for humanity's place in the galactic community. I think you'll find that we have much to offer, and perhaps a few surprises in store. As the alien students filed out for their final break, the lecture hall buzzed with excited conversation. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive species struggling to survive on a hostile planet. Instead, they found themselves face to face with a civilization that had not only mastered their Deathworld, but seemed poised to challenge the very stars themselves. The final session, they realized, might just redefine their understanding of the galaxy and humanity's place in it. The galactic perspective shift. As the alien students filed back into the lecture hall for the final time, there was a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. The previous sessions had shattered their preconceptions about Earth and its human inhabitants. Now they eagerly awaited Professor Sarah Chen's concluding remarks on humanity's place in the galactic community. Sarah stood at the podium, her posture relaxed yet commanding. The holographic display behind her showed a vast star field, with Earth a small blue marble among countless other worlds. Welcome to our final session, Sarah began, her voice carrying easily across the now hushed auditorium. We've explored the challenges of Earth, the resilience of humanity, and our drive to innovate. Now let's discuss what this means for our role in the broader galactic community. The hologram zoomed in on a serene-looking rainforest floor. Suddenly, a camouflaged predator, a jaguar, leaped out at its unsuspecting prey. Several students jumped in their seats, a few even emitting high-pitched squeals of alarm. This is but one example of the constant dance of life and death that occurs every moment on Earth, Sarah continued, seemingly unperturbed by the violent display. Predators on Earth have evolved to be fast, strong, and incredibly efficient killers. The display shifted, showcasing a variety of Earth's apex predators, from the powerful great white shark to the lightning-fast peregrine falcon, from the mighty African lion to the stealthy inland taipan. A student with multiple eye stalks raised an appendage. Professor Chen, how do humans defend themselves against such formidable creatures? Sarah's eyes gleamed with what could only be described as pride. An excellent question. While we lack natural defenses like thick hides, sharp claws, or venomous bites, we've developed something far more powerful, our intelligence and adaptability. The hologram changed to show early humans crafting tools and weapons, then progressed through history to showcase modern wildlife management and conservation efforts. We've learned to coexist with these creatures, studying them, respecting them, and yes, sometimes defending ourselves against them. But here's the fascinating part. Many humans actively seek out encounters with these dangerous animals. Images of wildlife photographers, marine biologists swimming with sharks, and herpetologists handling venomous snakes flashed across the display. The alien students watched in a mixture of horror and disbelief. But large predators are just the beginning. Sarah continued, her tone growing more serious. Some of Earth's deadliest organisms are so small you need a microscope to see them. The hologram zoomed in to a microscopic level, revealing a world of bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Sarah spent the next portion of the lecture detailing the myriad of diseases and infections that humans contended with on a daily basis. She explained concepts like antibiotic resistance, zoonotic diseases, and the constant evolutionary battle between pathogens and the human immune system. In essence, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence that had fallen over the room, humans live in a constant state of biological warfare. Our bodies are battlegrounds, with our immune systems fighting off invaders every single day. A gelatinous student near the front quivered, its voice barely a whisper. How? How do you survive? Sarah's expression softened. It's not easy, I'll admit. We've lost many battles throughout our history. Plagues and pandemics have shaped our societies and our evolution. But we're resilient. We've developed medicines, vaccines, and public health measures. We've harnessed the very mechanisms of life itself to fight back. The hologram displayed images of advanced medical facilities, scientists working in high-tech labs, and the molecular structures of various medications and vaccines. But perhaps the most remarkable thing, Sarah continued, her voice filled with wonder, is that we don't just survive in this biological war zone. We've learned to use it to our advantage. She went on to explain how humans had harnessed microorganisms for everything from food production to waste management, from creating life-saving antibiotics to developing new materials. And let's not forget about the plant life, Sarah added, almost as an afterthought. The hologram shifted to display a variety of flora, from towering sequoias to delicate orchids. Earth's plants have evolved their own defenses, toxins, thorns, even carnivorous adaptations. She detailed how many of the foods and medicines that humans relied on came from plants that had evolved toxic compounds to deter predators. The concept of humans deriving nourishment and healing from potential poisons seemed to both horrify and fascinate the alien students in equal measure. As the lecture on Earth's biosphere drew to a close, the alien students found themselves grappling with a profound sense of cognitive dissonance. The planet they had dismissed as a simple death world was revealed to be a complex, dynamic system of life, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. And the humans, these seemingly fragile beings, had not only survived, but had become active participants in this deadly dance of evolution. Before we conclude this section, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence, are there any questions about Earth's biosphere? The flood of questions that followed was a mixture of morbid curiosity and grudging admiration. The alien students, once dismissive of Earth as a barbaric backwater, were beginning to see it, and its human inhabitants, in a new light. Professor Zixtal stepped forward, his iridescent skin shimmering with what could only be described as profound respect. Thank you, Professor Chen, for this extraordinary series of lectures. I believe I speak for everyone when I say that our understanding of humanity, and indeed, of the potential for life in this galaxy, has been fundamentally transformed. Sarah nodded, her smile warm, but her eyes holding a glint of the indomitable spirit she had described throughout her lectures. Thank you all for your attention and your thought-provoking questions. As humanity takes its place in the galactic community, we look forward to learning from all of you, to sharing our unique perspective, and to facing the challenges of the future together. As the alien students filed out of the lecture hall for the last time, their conversations were a buzz of excitement and speculation. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive species struggling to survive on a hostile planet. Instead, they found themselves contemplating the civilization that had not only mastered their death world, but seemed poised to become a major player on the galactic stage. Many students lingered, approaching Sarah with further questions or simply to express their newfound admiration for humanity. As the last of them left, Professor Zixtal approached Sarah, his expression one of genuine curiosity. Professor Chen, he began, his voice low, after all you've shared with us, I must ask, do you humans ever fear the galaxy beyond your world? Sarah's laugh was bright and genuine. Fear it? Professor Zixtal, we can't wait to explore it. After all, compared to Earth, the rest of the galaxy seems positively tame. As they exited the lecture hall, the two professors continued their discussion, their voices fading into the distance. Behind them, the holographic display still shimmered, showing Earth, that beautiful, terrifying death world, spinning serenely amidst the stars, a small but significant part of a vast and wondrous galaxy.